Hi, welcome back to Real Auto Reports. This is the real video, the real review on the 2013 Infiniti FX37. This is the limited edition. We'll tell you what that means throughout the video, and we'll give you all the details you want to know about this FX37 luxury, sports-tuned crossover from Infiniti. It's an iconic vehicle from them at this point, and we're going to delve into all the details. So let's hop in the driver's seat and get going. Hi, welcome back. So today we are in the 2013 Infiniti FX37 limited edition. We've told you that the limited edition pretty much comes as it is. You don't get to add a lot of options, and it's a good value. It's based on the FX37 All-Wheel Drive and the standard features that it has. So you have the satellite and radio navigation system with the touchscreen and all that entertainment up here, Bluetooth connectivity. You have your heated seats, you have your snow mode for your all-wheel drive. It's a car packed with a lot of nice stuff, including the leather seats with this, in the limited you get the dark or the black interior, and then you get this brown piping in it, which is kind of nice. You also have memory seats. Just a lot of neat stuff that Infiniti has put in this vehicle. But what is the FX37 and what is different for 2013? Let's check out those details as we cruise along around Denver. Okay, so first of all, let's cover what's new for 2013. You have a slightly revised fascia. It still is giving you that aggressive, sports-inspired crossover look. So you have very aggressive departure and approach angles on this vehicle. The approach angle specifically, when you look at this car from the front, you'll notice the bumper comes way back and gives you a lot of room to come up and over stuff. That's really nice. It's got these flared fenders that you can see out the windscreen here that give you a great idea of where the edges of this vehicle are. In fact, when you're sitting in this FX37 and you're driving, you have your hand grips here on the wheel, you're sitting here, and you don't feel like you're in a crossover. You feel like you're in a sports car, which is exactly what the FX is really trying to get at, while still having the rear interior room of a crossover where you can lay the rear seats down and load quite a bit. And what I like about the FX is that the load floor is a lot flatter than some of the crossovers. Specifically, recently we've looked at the Evoque from Range Rover, that's by Land Rover, and it has a kind of angled load floor that you would expect in vehicles from the 90s, because that's how the SUV seats really laid in most cases. Now, this vehicle is pretty capable. We got a ton of artwork in here with the seats folded down. And what's nice is when you put the seats back up, your rear passengers can actually set the seat angle by pulling the release latch for putting the seat down and folding it, and adjust that. But they have to do that before they get in. If they don't, then they're kind of stuck, or they're trying to turn and grab while they're sitting in the seat. And that's really not going to be a very pleasant riding experience if they're adjusting that while you're going. So that's one of the interesting things about the adjustable seat angle, but it's there and it allows for more comfort. The seats are more sports inspired. You have good bolsters, and the whole vehicle drives just really aggressively and sporty, which is not what you really expect when you're shopping for a CUV, I don't think. So I think it's pretty cool that you can have all that in a luxury crossover vehicle. Now, just above $53,000 after delivery. This vehicle is not cheap, but neither are the other vehicles in its competition set, like, say, an X3 or a Range Rover Evoque. You could also look at the GLK Mercedes, the GLK-350. And we've tested all of those vehicles here, except the X3, at Real Auto Reports. So there's some videos you can check out if you want to cross-compare some of these. Let's talk about some of the things that you get from the Infiniti brand, the features and the driving experience. So that'll come up next. From a features perspective, the Infiniti is an interesting vehicle because, especially in this limited edition, I should say, because it is seemingly a value-priced luxury sports-inspired crossover, especially in the limited edition where you can only get it in Moonlight, which is Moonlight White, which is a metallic white. It's very pretty, and I like it because it sparkles in the sunlight. But you don't get to really option the limited edition up. To do that, you really need to go to the other packages in the range. And you can even go all the way up to the FX50 that has the V8 engine. And that's going to be 390 horsepower. In the 3.7 liter V6 version, which is this FX37, and what's new for 2013 is that 3.7 liter. Well, what you're going to get is 325 horsepower, and in the limited edition, all the standard features like navigation, heated seats, both front seats here are heated. You're going to get the climate control, touch screen, Bluetooth, you've got your trip computer, all the things that you would expect to have in this vehicle. What you're not going to have are some other features that you might find in the upper end packages, like blind spot monitoring and adaptive cruise control. Some things that we saw on the GLK-350 that we had here on Real Auto Reports earlier in the year. So it is kind of interesting to me that you're not going to have some of those features, yet you have leather seating surfaces and push button start, keyless entry, you have the power rear hatch, the adjustable rear seats that I mentioned before so that the back angle is adjustable, and of course the Bose premium audio system in the Infiniti. And if you're used to Infinitis, the entire cockpit design in this FX37 will be pretty familiar. In fact, even if you've come up from a Nissan Maxima, this will look pretty familiar because this layout that you see in the FX37 is used in most of the Infinitis, except the M. These dashboards, the controls, and the usability are all pretty much the same throughout the Infiniti line. Okay, so a couple things that I think people always think about with these vehicles, and I really did want to mention, is like the power lift gate. Can you open it from the key fob and from the back? And the good news about this vehicle is it's got a button on the back tailgate that'll let it lift open for you automatically, or you can pull it open if you choose to. It's got the button, but it is up on the top, so you will have to reach for it, or you know, for different people that is a plus or a minus because some are in the sides of the rear liftgate area. So this one's in the top, up in the liftgate itself. And you can open and close it from the key fob, which is pretty nice. And one thing that Infiniti does, and I have the key fob here in a pocket somewhere. Yeah, it's right here. It's in this pocket. They're actually, though, for valeting and when you're trying to put the key somewhere, I mean, valet service is where I really think about it. There is a hole here that lights up when the key is in it, and you just slide it in there and it receives the key, and it's perfect. It's a great place to keep it, whereas a lot of cars don't even have a place for you to put the key, so it's in the cup holder, or you're putting it in the little, you know, what used to be an ashtray but isn't anymore. So I think those are a couple nice touches on this vehicle. Also, you have your sunroof, which is good, although I will point out that this is on the smaller side of sunroofs, so keep that in mind. You know, this does not have that panoramic look. It really has that more sports car look. And it's funny because the sunroof is that size. It's that kind of Porsche 911 you know, size sunroof. So it's right over the driver. It's not affecting the back passengers or the rake of the roof line at all on this vehicle, which is very curvaceous. This vehicle is very curvy, not angular. So those are a couple features that I did want to point out. One other that is kind of interesting is that it does have the power folding mirrors, but they are manual, and you cannot fold them after you turn the car off, which I found out parking downtown in Denver. I wanted to fold the mirrors in so they didn't get clipped. I'd already turned the car off. I opened the door. I went, oh wait, I want to fold those mirrors in, and then I had to turn the car back on to do so. So those are a couple of things you want to check out. The other thing is that in this package, like I said, no adaptive cruise, no blind spot monitoring, but you do have rear object detection in the reverse camera and in the all-around view. So what it'll do when you're reversing is it'll pick objects out and tell you where problem areas are. So that's like bicycles, little kids, cats, you name it. It'll try to pick them out with the moving object detection. So that's a nice feature. Something else that is interesting about this vehicle is that it doesn't have anything like auto wipers or auto high beams. So those are some features that you're starting to see like on your GLK-350, definitely on the BMW brands, and even on lower end vehicles now, like going to more of the car segment. You look at like the Dodge Charger and you're starting to see for about 40K, which is the top of the all-wheel drive, you're starting to see a lot of those features. So I think that there are some features that are going to have to start to pop up on these FXs, especially at $53,000. But that being said, this is a great driving vehicle and it's a lot of fun. Let's talk more about that coming up next. From a driving perspective, this vehicle is fun. It really isn't as much of a barn burner as you might think, though. It really goes 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds is about what we've seen in the independent tests by the big auto magazines. And that's actually pretty impressive for an all-wheel drive, large, because this vehicle is a lot larger than you think it is when you're behind the wheel. And 6.1 I'll take. It has a great sound though, because when you really get on the gas, it's got a 7-speed automatic transmission that gets you going, and it has a good throaty sound. It's not a wimpy sound at all. It's got that muscle to it. And then if you go up to the V8, you're definitely going to get some power with the 390 horsepower V8 that they put in the FX50. So there's definitely some options you can get in the FX lineup. Now, what else I could say about the driving experience here is that you do notice the all-wheel drive in this car, especially on crowned roads. I notice around our area where we have some back rural roads and they are crowned for the drain off, you notice that the wheel does pull a little bit from side to side. That being said, the center feel is nice. You've got a firm driving feel here in the wheel, and you feel like you're in control of this vehicle, more like a car than like a CUV or an SUV. And with a crossover like this, that's actually pretty remarkable because this car does not feel top heavy. With the big 21-inch rims, you do notice a little bit more heaviness in the wheel than I think you would if this car were riding a little smaller rim and tire. But it corners well, and the all-wheel drive system and the traction control systems on this will keep it in line. I think that's really the most important part, is that it feels racy, it feels fun, and yet it'll still get you through the snow if you need it to, and the inclement weather, whether that be rain or ice or wherever you're going. And if you need to do some off-road, it might do that, but let me warn you about these 21-inch rims. Every rim except one on this vehicle in our press fleet is curved, and that is because this rides a pretty low profile tire around that 21-inch rim. And so when you come up to a curve, if you're not using the camera or not used to the side of the vehicle, because this does have a little segue here, is this does have the around view monitor, so you can see the side of the car. It's got a curb angle view so that you can see when you're parallel parking. If you aren't using that and paying a lot of attention to these rims, they get scarred really badly because the flare of the rim and the side of the tire are really close to each other, and so you check that up against a curb and you're going to damage these graphite alloy rims. So, and that's really true for most of the Infiniti line. They have aggressive wheels. Even when you have the FX37 all-wheel drive, it comes with the 20-inch rims, I believe. I think you can go all the way a little lower than that even, but I know on the premium packages you still get a 20-inch rim. And this is not a vehicle that you want to be taken off-road unless you like to repair those rims, or you're going to put a different wheel and tire set on it. It's really an urban cruiser. It's meant to be sporty, fun, out on the open road, the curvy mountain roads, but really tarmac and away from the curbs. So I think that's kind of interesting. Another interesting part of this vehicle is the options that you can get that this particular car doesn't have. You can get basically an adaptive suspension that controls the ride. You can get rear wheel steer on the upper end models of this, like the FX50. And with the limited edition, what you also get that other vehicles won't have, besides the graphite wheels, is you also get darkened headlights, and you get the side chrome flares in the outside of the body are a darker blackened color than the chrome that you'll see on the regular FX. So a lot on this vehicle, a lot of usability actually for the rake of it. And frankly, you know, another car that is really raked like this with the really cut back window and smaller openings and that racy look is the Evoque we had earlier here at Real Auto Reports. And driving this vehicle, the thing that I noticed is that both vehicles have big mirrors, good visibility out the sides, over the shoulder. But I think the FX has better visibility out the back. It's got a bigger back window, and it definitely has more cargo room and can carry more stuff than the Evoque. And they're priced right about the same price here. For the limited edition that we have here, you're a couple thousand more than the Evoque, which was closer to 50, almost on the nose after delivery. And this limited edition with the extra wheels and everything is right about 53,000 after delivery. So an interesting cross compare because both are going for that sporty feel. Yet this vehicle here is not turbocharged like the Evoque, and this vehicle will get 18 miles per gallon in the city, which I think is the important number considering what an urban cruiser this vehicle really is. So I think all of that is really interesting. I think it's something to keep in mind. And, well, you know, I think if you're in the market for a crossover, this is definitely a vehicle you want to check out. And what I should say is if you're in the market to spend about $50K, you want luxury, you want some drive up and some curb appeal, these FXs really have made a statement over the years, and they're iconic to people. So for Real Auto Reports, I'm Jonathan McGrew. We'll have the real video wrap-up coming up next.
So that's the real video, the real review on the 2013 Infiniti FX37 Limited Edition. Just to recap on this vehicle, this limited edition means that you get it in the Moonlight metallic white here. That is the only color you can get it in, and pretty much the options are all standard in the Limited. This has nothing on the Maroni sheet that has anything from a package other than being the base MSRP plus the destination. So you're going to be right around the $53,000 mark for this vehicle, and you get some interesting features you won't get on other FXs, like these 21-inch graphite wheels. You also have all the standard features of the FX37 All-Wheel Drive, so it of course is the all-wheel drive. And for 2013 you have that new 3.7 liter V6, 325 horsepower, about 18 miles per gallon in town, and it'll rocket you up to 0 to 60 in about 6.1 seconds, according to some independent tests we've seen. This is a pretty cool vehicle if you like a sports car, but you need more room and you need flexibility of a crossover. It can actually carry quite a bit. It took a lot of our artwork here to Real Auto Ranch, where we are filming these days, and we have to say that it is one of the most aggressive and good-looking crossovers on the market from our opinion. Now, the price is a little high when you don't get blind spot monitoring and adaptive cruise and some of the other things you'll find maybe on the Mercedes GLK that we tested. But make sure you check out that Real First Impressions and Real Video on our YouTube channel. I'm Jonathan McGrew, filming from Real Auto Ranch here in Colorado. We'll see you down the road for more reviews very shortly.